Hello everyone, good evening. You're watching Awaz News. I'm Kubrali, bringing you today's latest top stories of Canada.
Toronto police are investigating after gunshots rang out in East York on Tuesday afternoon. Investigators say just after 2 p.m. they were called to the area of O'Connor Drive and Coxwell Avenue after receiving reports of an undisclosed number of gunshots heard in that vicinity. Their officers say they located evidence of gunfire. No injuries have been reported. Images and video footage captured by Awaz News from the area show a red Fiat as well as an Esso gas station cordoned off by police tape. A number of personal effects, a set of keys, a cell phone, a wallet, and some cash can be seen on the hood of the vehicle. The location of the car's driver, however, is unclear at this point. One woman at the local business told Awaz News, Melissa Duggan, that she saw a young man and a male suspect being apprehended by police. There is no official word from Toronto police on whether any arrests have been made in the connection with this case. There are also no details available regarding what kind of firearm may have been used or what may have led up to the incident. Police previously indicated in the post on Twitter that a number of nearby schools were placed under hold and secure as a result. A spokesperson for the Toronto Catholic District School Board, meanwhile, said they have not received any reports of our schools in East York being placed under hold and secure. Toronto Police Forensic Identification Services is now on hand and officers are coming the area for evidence and speaking with any witnesses. This investigation is ongoing and anyone with the further information is asked to contact Toronto Police or Crime Stoppers anonymously. A man convicted of raping 2 women and 15-year-old girl in downtown St. John's, Newfoundland and Labrador died in federal custody on Saturday, says Correctional Service Canada. Sofiane Boulac died while serving an intermediate sentence at the Bath Institution about 20 kilometers west of Kingston, Ontario. The agency said in a news release Monday he was 46. A spokesperson said privacy laws prevented the agency from saying how Boulac died or whether his death was in hospital. A quality of care review will be conducted to examine the facts surrounding the offender's death and the cause of the death will be determined by the coroner, said Kerry Gaitin in an email Tuesday. Laura Nilan, Boulac's lawyer, said she had no information about Boulac's death, nor did the member of his family who had told her about it. Boulac was convicted in 2016 of 13 crimes, including sexual assault with weapon. He attacked his victims in 2012 as they walked home alone at night, using a knife or sharp object to threaten them. He strangled one woman until she passed out. Before this arrest that year, the Royal Newfoundland Constabulary had issued a public warning about an unidentified offender who may have been responsible for sexual assaults in the city. The force said women walking alone after dark could be a greater risk and it urged them to take precautions. In January, Boulac filed a lawsuit in federal court that said he had been stabbed in 2023 by a fellow inmate at the Atlantic Institution in Rennes. The lawsuit said he would never walk again because of his injuries. In a statement of defense, Canada's Attorney General said Boulac had provoked the attack. Prime Minister Mark Carney's first federal budget represents a shift in policy for Justin Trudeau as the Liberals bet that major investments in an economic transformation will pay off with much-needed growth. The spending plan announced Tuesday include billions of dollars for infrastructure and new tax opportunities for businesses, alongside previously outlined plans to reduce government costs, including through job cuts. Business lobbies, not-for-profits, and other groups have spent the past few months pitching the government on what they would like to see in the budget, but no spending plan can address every item on the national wish list. Here's a look at what is not in the budget. The pharmacare. Today, the federal government has spent more than 60% of that money and has deals with just 4 provinces and territories. Carney has said he's committed to finalizing deals with the remaining jurisdictions as quickly and equitably as possible, but it's unclear how that will work. Environment. Carney scrapped the consumer carbon tax after taking office in the first signal his government would take a different approach to environmental policy than Trudeau's. Carney has promised both and automakers are annoyed at the promised return of debates not materializing, saying consumers are holding off buying electric vehicles while waiting for the rebates to bring the price down. Sector-specific aid. Some manufacturers will benefit from government procurement, which intends to buy Canadian materials for infrastructure, home construction, and other major projects, but there wasn't any new money for tariff-hit companies or industries. Individual relief. Federal budgets in the past have included new small targeted programs and tax credits for individual groups of Canadians, but the government spending plan this year offers relatively little aimed at individuals. The federal government cut the income tax rate for the lowest bracket effectively July 1st. The tax cut is expected to mean savings of up to $420 per person a year in 2026. As the federal government prepares to table their budget today, Ontario Premier Doug Ford says he has a wish list of items he hopes to see that will benefit his province. Namely, Ford said he's hoping to see funding for infrastructure and energy. The Premier then referred to a report from McKinsey and Company, which said by 2030, data centers are projected to require $6.7 trillion worldwide to keep pace with the demand for compute power. Ford also responded to a question about his proposed tunnel under Highway 401, which he had previously asked Prime Minister Mark Carney to prioritize as a nation-building project in a letter earlier this year in May. Last month, Carney was asked by Awaz News whether he would support the project and said discussions were underway with the provinces to consider many new projects that could receive funding. He gave no specific endorsement for the 401 tunnel proposal. The federal government is set to unveil its budget today in the Liberals' first fiscal update in almost a year. A second victim has died and a youth is now facing charges following a collision over the weekend in Brampton, police say. The crash happened at around 4:20 a.m. on Saturday at the intersection of Queen Street and Chinguacousy Road. Peel Regional Police said at the time that the driver of one of the vehicles sustained life-threatening injuries and was pronounced dead at the scene. On Tuesday, police announced that a second person involved in the collision has also succumbed to their injuries. Investigators say the victims are 31-year-old and 20-year-old women, both of Brampton. The driver of the other vehicle, a minor who cannot be identified under the provisions of Youth Criminal Justice Act, has been charged with dangerous driving causing death and refusal to comply with demand. This investigation is ongoing and anyone with information or dashcam footage is asked to contact police. Presenting a plan for major infrastructure and industrial investments intended to shape Canada's future, Prime Minister Mark Carney's first ever federal budget focuses on driving economic growth while projecting a deficit that is billions of dollars bigger than forecast a year ago. Framed as a plan to create an economy by Canadians for Canadians, the budget titled Canada Strong outlines how the government intends to steer the country through the current storm of uncertainty with bold capital investments while reducing day-to-day operational expenditures. With the U.S. trade war reshaping the global trading system and a weaker economy adding pressure, economists say Finance Minister Francois Philippe Champagne's debut budget is focused on the long run with pro-business measures spent to increase productivity and inject certainty at a time where it's in short supply globally. An extension of this, though, is that there is very little in budget tailored towards everyday Canadians' cost of living concerns. Still, the government says the measures they intend to advance will boost average wages and create revenue that helps support healthcare and lower taxes. With this budget, the Liberals are choosing to prioritize generational investments over slashing the deficit, which the government says would have come at the expense of social programs. The 2025 federal budget includes $32 $32.5 billion in net new capital spending over 5 years and projects a $1.7 billion surplus in the federal government's operating budget by 2028 to 29. Overall, the 46-page document details $141 billion in new spending, offset by $51.2 billion in savings, amounting to a total new net spend of $89.7 billion. Two men have been rushed to the hospital following a two-vehicle collision in North Etobicoke on Tuesday afternoon. Toronto police said they caught a call just after 5 p.m. for a crash involving a car and a motorcycle in the Rexdale neighborhood near Kipling Avenue and Rexdale Boulevard. Both the motorcyclist and the driver of the car have been transported to hospital, police say. Toronto paramedics told Awaz News that one man sustained serious, potentially life-threatening injuries, while the other suffered minor injuries. The cause of the collision is unknown. Police have closed the roads in the vicinity for the investigation.
Thank you for watching Awaz News. This is Kubra Ali. I'll see you tomorrow again. Have a wonderful evening.